Welcome back. We are now on episode 5 of the Lord's Prayer. Just some small video reflections on the Lord's Prayer. We were talking in the previous video about the fact that people prayed either to be heard or prayed using many words, hoping they'd be heard, and Jesus debunked both of those thoughts. Also, in the context of Matthew's prayer, most people stop after "deliver us from evil." In regards the prayer itself, which of course is correct because that's where the prayer stops. But the context actually is it's part of the prayer being expanded. So there's a particular line in the prayer that Jesus then expands into something that they would understand more. And he said, for instance, that their forgiveness by God was connected to their forgiveness upon others. And it reads fairly plainly that unless we do, he doesn't. I mean, we could argue all day whether he can't. That's not the point. But the point is that the onus in this particular instance is not on God. The onus is upon us. Excuse me. His forgiveness goes without saying. That's not the issue. But ours doesn't always follow suit. We are quick to hold back and slow to forgive. And so he made a point of that. Now, the Lord's Prayer in this instance is not sidelined by the death and resurrection of Jesus, as though, once again, some say it's a pre-cross era and therefore redundant for the sake of the church. And I've already said if you say that, then everything's redundant for the sake of the church, because everything Jesus said was before his death, except maybe a few moral maxims you can pull out of his words. But he was forgiving people before his death, he was forgiving people by his death, and he was forgiving people after his death. He's God, he's able to do that. But the point here in the Lord's Prayer is that Jesus reminds us that prayer in some ways becomes of no value whatsoever unless we actually practice forgiveness. So the practice of forgiveness is a very big and a very important issue. I'll leave that thought with you today.